decent first game, but a lot of improvement needed. We did play a program that was kind of going through a rebuild, redo kind of deal, and I thought they played hard and did well, but I think over time, we're going to get challenged more with blocking and in all phases of our game and coverage and speed of the players, etc. But again, a lot of respect for those guys bouncing back. I know their coach there is success. They'll do well down in Northwestern State, so we wish those guys the best. There was a lot of good and there's a lot of bad, and that's kind of the nice deal in first games you always have for sure. Everybody says you make a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2. The real deal is you try as much as you can to facilitate game situations, but it's not the game until you get all the surrounding stuff and the stress and the distractions and the ability to process quickly in the heat of the battle when there's a little bit more on line. You make a mistake in practice and you get beat, 100 people see it. You do it in the game, a lot of people see it, so it just leads to more stress. So guys got to learn how to handle that, manage that. So we could clean up a lot of things. It's always nice to have success, but I think we're fooling ourselves if we don't realize that we got to play a lot better in a lot of areas. You can take those mathematical numbers and skew them. I appreciate the comment that 62 is a lifetime, but I've scored 70 in about 4 or 5 times. So in my lifetime, 62 wasn't very good for an opener. So I'm used to 79 and 77 and 73 and not trying to run scores up. We talked about the quarterbacks didn't throw. We weren't trying to run the score up. The game had gotten out of hand. The 2 kick returns at the end, our fumble punt and our kickoff return, took away a few offensive snaps that could have created a few more natural football plays for some of those guys to play. But in reality, a lot of work to improve on. We were able to watch it last week, Friday. Saturday was off. We came in Sunday, got a start. And then typically Monday here is a huge class day. Well, we didn't have classes yesterday, so we made it a practice day. That's typically our off day. We're taking the day as off. We were able to go out yesterday and have a very long, good practice, good meeting time, a physical practice, get the base of the game plan, being a day ahead. And now we got to make sure we don't get out of rhythm. Of course, we haven't been in rhythm yet with a Thursday night game and coming off a preseason and the heat and all that deal. But like where we're at as we start, not that we're ahead, I just think we've been able to see some things, and we're challenging our players to be mature enough to realize that no matter what the numbers were for you, we can play much better, and that doesn't mean the scores are going to be anything like that ever again. We're going to have a very, very hard challenge on the road. I don't think we've had very good success on the road. A lot of times, most teams don't. If you go 500 on the road, a lot of times you got a chance to be a winning team. So we got to figure out how to win on the road. Arkansas State, second week in a row. They had a close game. They played one of the best teams in FCS, a team that talent-wise probably has talent as good or better than our team has at certain positions, and maybe doesn't have the depth or the backups because of limited scholarships. But they played a strong team. They were able to pull a victory. They went to a bowl game last year. I know Coach Jones, know him well, know his staff. A lot of respect for those guys. So to me, this is going to be a tough game. Again, looking forward to the week of prep, and just looking forward to going over and seeing week 2 on the road as we start this season. How good are we on the road? We handled the first one okay. We should have. Now we'll see if we're strong enough and mature enough to go on the road and play competitive football and play winning football on the road. So great opportunity, and like our start, like the way we practice, but we got a lot of work to do with a young team.
Do you have an update on Jeremiah Ballard?
Yeah, he got a knee, and it's going to require surgery, so he'll unfortunately be out for the season. We've only got 2 guys out. So we've lost 2 guys all fall camp. We have 2 guys from the spring that are out. So we got 123 guys on our team. Yesterday at practice, we had 119 guys practicing. So we don't have all those guys standing over there. Our strength staff has done a great job. The 2 injuries we've gotten this year has basically been guys just running and caught their leg funny and got ACL injuries. It wasn't, due to contact, but that's a part of it. But unfortunately for Jeremiah, he's a great kid. He has 1 more year. Maybe we could get with a medical redshirt year because he's been redshirted. That's not decided till later, but he does have another year. But he'll require some time to get back.
Larry? If you could talk about what do you think went best for you all during the Northwestern game, and what do you think is the area you need to clean up the most?
Well, we need to clean up a lot across the board. We didn't run the ball well early. We made some adjustments when things that went well. We made some adjustments and with some things we had to do that we didn't anticipate. We weren't sure although we didn't get a lot differently, but some things we wanted to do, we didn't execute cleanly, which is disappointing in the offensive standpoint. Defensively, we gave up, a couple big runs. We gave up one for a touchdown. We gave up some easy scores. We created no turnovers. We created no sacks. We had 11 tackles. We had 31 plays that went for 0 or negative yards. We were 25% on third down defense. So all those were good, but there were some easy plays. We got to tighten up coverage, be sounder, be cleaner defensively. Kicking game, you get 2 returns for touchdown, but you give up 14 points. I thought the effort was good in kicking game. Our kickoff got inconsistent. With the wind, we killed it. Into the wind, it wasn't a very windy day, but all of a sudden we kick a couple out of bounds, and so we got to be more consistent in the kicking game. Our punter's averaging 50 yards a kick, which looks great. If the guy can fair catch it, it's 37 yards, and we're 13th in the league in punting right now. So you can take that number and say, wow, they got a good punter, which we do. But our kickers need to be a little bit more consistent. We got to be a little more consistent and not give up the turnover we did. Our field goal protection was anemic. And as a matter of fact, one time we had 10 guys on the field, not the one that was blocked. That created the ones blocked. There's, I think, a credit to their coaches to recognize that and coming after that on the field goal. So we got to tighten up our field goal team. So, our plan to win, playing good defense, we played good. I think we got to tighten some things up. Though we tackled good. Kicking, a couple big plays. Effort was outstanding, but we got to take away the big plays in the kicking game. We can't give them 40. We can't go on the road and give an opponent anything in the kicking game as far as points. And we shedded 14 the other night. And then offensively, we're going to get challenged more with protection, and we're going to get challenged more tighter coverage. And the numbers got good. It was nice to have the balance we did, but we got, again, to me, I saw a lot of things we liked, and I was very direct. And I think our coaches were, do you see this? And we're not going to be perfect, but we need to be better here. Do you recognize that? Whether it be in protection, assignments, effort, getting off blocks, across the board. So good effort, great teaching tape, and took Friday as a teaching day, took Sunday as an install day and implement, and yesterday we had a really good practice. So I think we're trending the right way, and we got an eager group, a good group. They're a great group to coach. Practices and meetings are awesome. And I hope we're going to continue to see this team incrementally improve as we go through the season.
To piggyback off of Raven and with Ballard being out, I think he was the only wide receiver over 6 foot to catch a pass on Thursday. So do you anticipate some of the younger guys that have that size stepping up in his absence? Yeah,
well, again, by the time some of those guys played, we weren't throwing the ball. So those receivers are some of the most gifted athletes on our team. And so, at the same time, the best route or catch all day was about the shortest receiver we got, in a competitive situation. So, you got to separate, you got to get open is what it is. So we're not going to play a guy because he's tall. We're not a basketball team. We're not volleyball. We're going to play the best guys. It helps if they're good, but you got to play fast. You got to separate. Step toe, was outstanding. Cam Benjamin was outstanding. Presley stepping up and showing signs. Hopefully we can now build on that and have more consistency. He's been a little inconsistent, but it was nice to see him kind of settle in. We got him a few touches and kind of come through that, and I would like to see him build and enhance. Grayson's had a good preseason. He dropped the one punt. The young guys got out there a little bit. The tight ends are going to be really good. Luke had a catch caught back, should have had 2. Cowboys been a little gimpy getting back, so tight ends will be a part of that, and they're all over 6 foot. So, I think the one guy caught the touchdowns is 6'4", 6'5", so, there's a couple of 6-footers out there. So, we'll be all right.
And then with guys like, it's probably becoming more common now, but guys like Gavin who are returning to the team that they just played for, how do you maybe lean on him when he's on the field and experience of knowing what they're going to try to do on offense?
Yeah, I don't know. He was there, I don't know, long enough, and I haven't asked him a question about him. I just kind of sit there and watch the tape and know Coach Jones's background and pedigree throughout the years. First time I met Coach Jones, I want to say he's coaching at West Virginia at Rich Rob when I was at Northwestern, and Coach Rodriguez was at West Virginia. Coach Fry was coaching at West Virginia at that time, our line coach, and we all got there to talk some ball. And he's had a great run at Central Michigan, at Cincinnati. Tennessee had some good teams, but they made a change in time. He had a great time at Alabama with Coach Saban. He's in year 3. So to me, I think philosophically, you can just watch enough tape to get a feel for. You watch their defense, 11 guys are running to the ball. I know, not personally, but know of the 2 guys that are their mainstays of their defensive coaching staff and their background and what they believe in. You watch their effort. You watch offensively. I know the quarterback from North Carolina, know the program he came from, which is a great program. He's a freshman of the year last year in their conference. Just had 47 passes the other night and 13 carries. So 60 times he's got the ball in his hand making a play. He's a great young player at quarterback. They got some skill and some speed, always have. So to me, it's more about you watch the tape and you kind of know traditionally what the coach is versus I'm asking Gavin. And, sometimes I love him, but I don't know. I'll kind of trust the coaches and let him be the player, let him just go play.
Coach, you talked about you're bringing Braylon in and talking about local people, like to talk to local guys. What is your philosophy on recruiting in Oklahoma and the Tulsa area, and how does that match with the broader need of having the best players possible on your roster?
Yeah, and let me say too, I saw the unfortunate incident with the Union player, and I know sometimes you get recruiting things, but just prayers to their team, that family, and that young man for the incident I think that happened. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? And so that was a very sad, unfortunate thing. Matter of fact, I believe he was at our game Thursday night, for what that's worth. So, not a kid that we had. So again, we just say prayers to that. It was nice. You look at I saw the high school rankings came out by someone the other day, and you got all of our local teams in Tulsa that are great teams all recognized and rated, which says a lot for the staffs, the coaches, the teams in this area. I go through the whole state of Oklahoma. I know we got a couple commitments that I think had phenomenal first games when you look at their stats and numbers. And the amazing thing, outside those 4 Oklahoma schools, we look at all those Texas schools and a boatload of those guys and where they're from in areas that we try so hard to recruit well. So of the top teams in the nation, there's 12, 15, 16 of those teams where we are actively trying to beat their doors down to get the right kids to come here if they would. So we're always going to start locally in the backyard. I think our degree's got a lot of value for kids in this region, a lot of value for kids in the state. I think a lot of kids for the Metroplex and East Texas, and as we even trickle down to San Antonio and Austin and Houston. So, there's a great vibe when we go out recruiting, not just locally. I think locally, initially, Tulsa's always had a pretty good vibe. I think, I didn't realize, but when I came back, I think those years I had at Oklahoma, a lot of people remember that. So we were kind of welcomed in Oklahoma. But when we go to Texas, we're well received by the high school coaches. They got a lot of respect for the history, the tradition, the great players, the great teams, and great coaches have been here. So I love our area recruiting, and it was great to see so many of the programs we recruit were ranked so high in the early national polls for what that's worth. And that's a great athletes, people that love football. I think our state's as passionate as football as any state. So people that love football, and like I say, it was neat to say that. And I want to go back again. Prayers to the Union football family and that young man over there.
When you were several of the transfers that you picked up this year were also people from here and other places and came back. Do you have a particular sales pitch that you try to give?
No,
like
because
that?
first of all, I do sell this. Don't come here and not be a success, because you guys are going to write about it. Like, why is he not yet? Well, I just watch him practice and the guys that are making plays and not. But, it's better to go somewhere else than come here and fail. If you're coming here, there's a little bit of you got to do well in school. Everybody's going to know your name, and not everybody's going to be necessarily a 3 and a 4 year starter and have a statistically great career, become an NFL player. But you don't want to come here and especially with some of the teams and the profile players that come out, you got to hold your end of the bargain. I think some of us, SMU's doing it differently because it's a bigger city, but they're getting some guys on bounce backs. We just try to be. First time I ever heard this was Coach Day years ago when Justin Fields transferred in. He goes, when we recruited him the first time, I was just nice as I could, because you never know. And so you never know right now. You don't wish. I don't tell a kid, well, if it doesn't work out, call me. I'm like, if you go somewhere else, go kick butt and be a great player, get your degree. But if you're nice to them and you have a relationship, and for some reason a kid is looking 1 or 2 or 3 years down the road in this day and age of the portal, you might could get a kid bouncing back. And then, a kid that's now traveled away, the value of being at home, the value of getting a master's degree from here, which a couple guys are pursuing, or coming back and finish, which some guys have done that. Those, our academic sell and this campus vibe is our kids that come back love it when they get back here, and they've been very successful.
TJ, you mentioned earlier the special teams kind of threw a wrench into the quarterback, guys getting the right reps or the reps you wanted them to get. That's how you evaluate it? You feel like you did an okay job getting those guys involved? Yeah,
I think early, again, we weren't running the ball well. I thought we had to early. I wasn't sure, and we didn't put a lot of effort into some of the plays where Cardell and Cooper are a little bit more in the run game oriented. Again, I will say, and until we do it in game, in our last scrimmage, Cardell and Cooper had the better completion percentage than Kirk. But Kirk is a very accurate passer, and he has good command presence, and he throws the ball on target really well. And I just thought the way we're struggling early getting the running game going, we had to get the pass game going, so we kind of rode with Kirk. He got hot. It's not like we did have the one drive. We got down in there, and we put. Matter of fact, we actually showed them, okay, the play before we got a touchdown opportunity that we miss. We actually miss a throw. Then we come back with Coop, and we get communication. We get a procedure, which then leads to a field goal that gets blocked. So it started with the missed touchdown opportunity, poor communication procedure, and then a block, and that's a 14-point swing. We do that this week, we lose the game. It won't be a matter of discussion. If that happens, that's an L. And so I just got to be careful, moving guys around and all that deal. But in this age, I look at all you guys. I appreciate y'all. Y'all do great. And I also appreciate the fact that none of you give money to my NIL collective right now. And I got to make guys happy. None of you are, right? Does anybody raise your hands? So that being said, a part of having a good team is guys playing and guys being productive. Now, it's my job to manage that where there's flow and there's chemistry and there's harmony, and I think we got it now. But at the same time, as you play, everybody wants the ball. You guys talk about the quarterback deal. We have an all-conference running back to have 5 carries the other day. That was tied for fewest on the team. And he did finish his year pretty good. And he is a heck of a player, and he's had a heck of a camp. And he's a guy that's in one of those kind of captainship type roles. But he also is playing his butt off, and those other guys are playing, and we're just going to let it play out. We had, unfortunate now, a receiver get injured. Some guys are going to have to step up. Ethan Hall has been a little bit gimpy. All of a sudden, there's Connor Vaughn out there, a couple of nice plays his way. So, for example, one of Connor Vaughn's plays was called in tempo. And based on how it was called, he could have been on the other side and never got the ball. So that wasn't targeted him. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw and guys making plays. But the only thing we do know is that Cardell is as good an athlete as we have on the team, and Cooper is a tough physical runner. There's a little bit more run threat when they're in the game, but it's not going to be. At the end of last year, it felt like we were a team with a balanced offense, and then we put a wildcat in the game. These guys are not going to be wildcats. They're going to be quarterbacks. And I just got to figure out how to do it. And there'll be a better feel this week because at least you got a little bit more tape and a little bit of certainty of what these guys kind of like to do. They can always make their adjustments and tweaks. But you got a better – last week there's a little cat and mouse early, and I didn't want to expose us to turnovers. We had no turnovers offensively. And so we were trying to be a little smarter and not put the defense in bad situations. So we were a little cautious and not wanting to – and we had a young offensive line. So we didn't have a lot of fat on the game plan last week. We tried to keep it pretty simple, which limited some of the things that maybe we'll get to as we evolve.
You mentioned earlier, too, the level of maturity it takes to win on the road. You feel like this team has a little higher level maybe than last
We'll see.
year?
I mean, we're a younger team now, and that's a great question, TJ. It's a great – I mean, it'll be interesting, until you get out there. Really good teams play well on the road because they as they travel, they kind of get tight versus just go to sleep. They spend a little bit of time together. You got to have the challenge of going on the road and eliminating. It's a different locker room. It's a different warm-up area, but it's still the same. The hashes are the same. The yard lines are the same. The spacing of the field's the same. And as you play, you're trying to teach guys how to take all the distractions. Like I say, we try as much as we can to do game situations, but in practice, we don't have the distractions that these guys have. So as we travel, and this is one of the beauties of this place. It's a tough travel. We're going to go to Memphis and stay, which creates an hour and 15-minute drive the other day. They'll have the Arkansas police slow roll us in about 30 miles an hour like everybody does. So you got a lot for buffer time for all those little tricks of the trade. Locker room will be 250 degrees. There's just tricks of the trade when you play on the road that, everybody gets used to. And you try to teach your guys to eliminate. They don't control that. They control their ability to focus and do their jobs. And really good teams can do that on the road. And we're not a good team yet. We are a team evolving and moving in the direction that I like. We'll see if we can be that kind of team. And until you get in the arena and get the fights and the competition going, the fight of the play, you just don't know how it's going to come out. But looking forward, hopefully our I will come over. And I thought we had a great fan group the other night. Our student section was awesome. Had a good turnout. That's why we do that. We do that really Labor Day weekend. We'll get a better crowd. And then it does give us a little bit more time to recover for Game 2. We come back with, I think, a great home slate the rest of the year with non-conference game a week from now and then the conference slate. So we're going to have some great home games. And it's not that far a drive. Hope we can get a good contingent of Golden Hurricane fan over there this week.
Feedback from first game with tablets and communications. Anything that you heard and how it went?
Yeah, I was having a hard time with it. We had a different setup where, like, I don't like mashing these buttons. And so the deal is when it goes on, and first of all, quite honestly, you have people up there operating it that a couple times weren't very good at it. Like, I'm looking one time, and I'm already at 36 seconds still. I ain't talking to my quarterback yet. So those people up there got to be on point. We had a couple scrimmages. I'd asked to have the right people here. I don't know if we did or didn't. I wanted game day simulation. But in our world, when it went to 15 seconds, it would typically just go beep, and it was dead. Well, on this one, it kept going beep, 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 and I'm trying to talk and check a play, and I couldn't hear. So then you got to sit here, and now you got this little button. I'm talking a button that's smaller than this. It's on your deal. And so you got to sit here, and if you're holding a game plan, I can't wait till it's raining and cold and gloves. And they want you to mash a button that's it's bigger than a pinhead, but it's smaller than an M&M. And you got to mash this little button to be live. And I'm like, so the tablets were great. I don't know if our coaches are used to coaching with them yet. A couple of times I walked by the bench and said, there's a tablet here. Feel free to start showing the guys the plays. And so I think we can do a better job of coaching it, but the tablets were awesome. The video was outstanding. I think we can do better as we learn and grow with that. That's the second time we've ever used it. We've used the headphones during practice. It was way different in the game. And a human element, because what the guy does, he or she holds the button down. And they got to hold it down. And my thing is, in fairness, now as soon as the play's over, matter of fact, as soon as the play's being run, you should pop it open because you're not talking to them. But whatever, the guy's waiting, and then, And so anyway, there's human element involved. And, I struggled with it. I was going crazy with the headphones. Can't hear. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then what would happen to beep? I would click over to defense. And I'd click back to offense. Well, then I had to hit the button again. So to get rid of the beeping, I had to go defense back to O. And I'm just trying to call a play. I'm just trying to run zone right, and it's like, geez, so we'll see going forward. It was great to talk to the quarterbacks, and we've got a way where we can talk via signal. We got a way we can talk in a huddle. We got a way we can talk directly to him. We got a way where he can talk to the team. We got 3 or 4 different ways of communicating, trying to eliminate their ability to steal your signs and signals so they don't know if it's a run or pass. So hopefully we can keep the defense a little bit more off guard, but. It's a work in progress, but it was good. It was. I ain't say I was stressed out. It was just harder than I wanted it to be. I just want to talk, and it goes dead at 15. I mean, we can send people to the moon and stuff. Can we just cut it off, and not have all the beeps? I didn't think it was that hard.
You mentioned earlier about running backs and limited carries. We've all heard and known about Avant and how great that he is. I thought Ellison looked really good.
Ran hard. Matter of fact, he said, he gave me today, Coach, run my hat. I got 5 carries. I said, well, so did A-Watt. We're not trying to make you. I mean, he had 10 plays on kickoff cover, where he's covering kickoffs. So we're trying to get those guys involved as much as they can. Maybe get a little 2 back in there. I thought Billy Jackson ran hard. Lloyd did well. And what's happening right now in a good way, I think Coach Spurrier's doing a good job with that room. As I think we are at quarterback, as we are at tight end, as we're at linebacker, D-line. I think we're just trying to tell guys, if we keep practicing hard, we're going to fight our butt off to get you on the field. You fight to get on the field, and we'll keep fighting for you. So the attitude right now as we go through needs to be in check. And that's hard. You got family members talking to them. Why aren't you getting carried? Why aren't you this? Why, there can always be a lot of stress and tension these kids are under. And we're not trying to make them all happy, but the more I think, again, we had 10 different players run the ball, 9 different players catch the ball. And that's not trying to show balance. It's nice those guys got those opportunities. 10 O linemen played, 10 D linemen played, I think 5 linebackers, 6 safeties, a couple nickels, 5 corners. I think 9, 10, 11 receivers. So I think the more you play, everyone wants to play, and we're really working hard. It's scary sometimes playing the freshmen, but we're playing the freshmen in the kicking game. The more we get guys, I think Tempest played 19 snaps. Zach Marcaselli played 16 snaps of kicking. So if you play 20, 30 snaps and then 15 plays, that's 35, 40 snaps of a football game. That's a half of football. That's good football.
Well, yesterday you said that you had a full practice day when it's usually an off day. So did you talk a little bit with special teams at all? We talked on Thursday about you wanted to kind of get with them before the next week and fix some things.
Yeah, I didn't really talk as much as we did show, and we were able to on last Friday to meet and watch it and talk about some of the highs and lows. We came back again on Sunday and watched again. I went through Sunday and I said, now remember, okay, here's a kickoff out of the end zone, boom. Here's a kickoff out of bounds. You know, here's a PAT block, here's here's a procedure penalty in the scoring zone that leads to a field goal that leads to getting blocked. Here's a punt return we don't catch that leads to a score where we can still maybe tighten up and hold them to 3. We don't have to give them 7. So we went through a lot of scenarios. Remember the game as we played. Here's how some things unfolded. Here was a holding call that took away a great reception from Luke McGarry in the scoring zone. We overcame that. A lot of times you won't. And so we went through and just showed, again, remembering the games, here's some of the things that happened. Remember the result. As you play greater competition, the more negatives they have, the worse potential your results going to be of success that drive, success that half, success that game. So, I mean, we didn't beat it up. We didn't make a lot of wholesale, quote, changes, but because we do like the guys we have and where we have them, but we did say, are you smart enough to realize these things just happened? We did win a game, but we need to be a lot better. And we expect you to have one of our mantras here is constant, consistent improvement. And so let's go out. And again, I thought we had a good start Sunday night. We had a really good practice yesterday. It was a good long, the weather cooperated. Had meeting because there's no class. We had plenty of time. And so to me, it just gave us, and I mean, we went hard enough, and we went hard. I mean, I probably went 15 minutes more than I wanted to. They were doing good, having fun. I kept just throwing some things at them, not to over-practice, because today's an off day now. And so we get a chance today. They can get in the training room today. They can get some stretch out and recover, and then we'll come back and get back in routine for a game plan. So, again, I thought hopefully we made the corrections. Everybody talks about game 1 to game 2, but we got a good team, and no matter game 1, game 2, game 2, game 3, we got to keep getting better, and we'll fight like heck to keep doing so, okay? Appreciate everybody being here. Have a great week. See you soon.